And just like a little baby crying. Again, I was in an aircraft going off to Thailand last week and coming back last Tuesday. And there's always these kids in economy class who drive you crazy, screaming. And there's one thing which, I'm not a parent, I haven't had kids myself, it's one of the reasons I became a monk. But there's one thing you notice, when a little child screams, it's one of the hardest things to ignore, to reject. It's the scream of a child is demanding, and you can't reject that demand, to pay attention. Maybe it's genetically inbred in each one of us. There's a pitch and a tone and a loudness which we can't just turn aside and ignore. You may be able to ignore your wife when she speaks to you, certainly your husband, but how many of you can shut out the noise of a child? Even if it's not your own child. And there's something about that scream which reminds me of the scream of suffering and pain. Something which you just cannot ignore. You can't sort of turn aside, I'll deal with you later. It's something which is really important. And this is what the Buddha started off with. Sort of what is suffering and what's its solution. And the solution to suffering which the Buddha gave was unexpected. In brief, there is no solution, and that's the solution. In brief, or to give it a more tangible explanation, because saying there is no solution and that's not the solution sometimes seems like a contradiction. And sometimes you use contradictions and people think, wow, that's deep. But I want to go deeper than that, because sometimes these mystical statements which seem to be a contradiction, people go away and they repeat it to their friends, thinking that they understand what's going on. They haven't got a clue. They just say these things to impress other people. But the great image which I want to bring to you is an image which was one of the favourite images of my teacher Ajahn Brahm.